Hey there, my Hyrulean heroes and dungeon delvers. Today we're diving deep into the pixelated past of a game that literally set the standard for adventure. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Spoiler alert, this game involves a lot of smashing pots, which, I guess, was the 90s version of stress relief therapy. Stick around as we explore how a bit of brilliant coding and a whole lot of fantasy gave millions of gamers like you and me a perfect escape from our oh-so-tough preteen troubles. Our story starts back in the late 80s, when the gaming industry was something akin to the Wild West. Plenty of unexplored territories and a few duels to claim the top spot. In the midst of this pixelated frontier, Nintendo was already riding high with the Zelda franchise. But then, the idea struck for A Link to the Past. A return to the top-down adventure that made the original Zelda a legend in its own right. This wasn't just a sequel, it was a revolution cloaked in a cartridge. Enter Takashi Tezuka, the game's director who, alongside his legendary counterpart, Shigeru Miyamoto, decided that the previous Zelda's side-scrolling experiment in The Adventure of Link was a fun detour, but not the main path. They envisioned a game that not only went back to its roots, but dug deeper with richer graphics and a more complex narrative. Why, you ask? Well, because apparently saving princesses in 8-bit wasn't quite immersive enough. Development was a Herculean task set in the pre-internet era, where sharing large files was as easy as herding cuckoos. The team, based in Kyoto, Japan, pushed the boundaries of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, utilizing its then revolutionary Mode 7 graphics to create a dynamic and layered world that felt alive. This was the era when developers wrote game code on paper, and debugging probably meant getting actual bugs out of the bulky computers. Koji Kondo, the musical maestro behind the series, brought to life one of the most iconic soundtracks in gaming. The music wasn't just background, it was a narrative force, setting the mood for epic battles and eerie dungeons. Why go for such high-fidelity tunes? Because nothing says epic quests like a full orchestral score compressed into 16-bit, echoing through your TV speakers while you ignore your homework. The impact of A Link to the Past wasn't just in its gameplay or its lush graphics. It was in setting a gold standard for how sequels should be. Bolder, bigger, and with more heart. And speaking of heart, if you ever wondered why someone would leave the comfort of their cozy bed to go wrestle with goblins, save princesses, and gather magical artifacts, then clearly you haven't been sucked into the whirlwind of a plot that is The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. This game doesn't just have a story, it's got a saga that could make even the most serene monk clutch their rosaries. So let's break it down. Our hero, Link, isn't just a run-of-the-mill swordsman. No, he's a time-traveling, puzzle-solving, dungeon-diving protagonist who gets woken up in the middle of the night by a telepathic message from Princess Zelda. Talk about not getting your full 8 hours of sleep. Zelda, being the resourceful yet perpetually captive princess, is locked in a dungeon of Hyrule Castle. Her captor? The sinister wizard, Aghanim, who has nefarious plans to break a seal and unleash the dark world on Hyrule, as if Mondays weren't bad enough already. So, off goes Link, armed with a little more than his pajamas and courage, to rescue Zelda and inadvertently stumble upon a much bigger quest, restoring the balance between the light world and the dark world. The light world is your typical fairy tale veneer, full of lively townsfolk and the occasional monster problem. The dark world, however, is like the light world's edgy twin, complete with its own set of more aggressive problems. Throughout this dual-world adventure, Link collects a range of items and weapons, each more bizarre and useful than the last. Ever thought a boomerang could solve your problems? Well, in Hyrule, it's practically a Swiss Army knife. Link's quest is dotted with a motley crew of characters. There's Sahasrahla, the Elder, who is mysteriously adept to giving vague yet crucial advice. The Seven Maidens, descendants of the wise men, because apparently wisdom is genetic, and a host of creatures that could only come from the fever dreams of a very imaginative game developer. What's brilliant about A Link from the Past isn't just its intricate plot, but how each character, no matter how briefly on screen, seems to have a PhD in mysterious backstory and cryptic foreshadowing. They're not just NPCs, they're puzzle pieces in a grander narrative that Link, and the player, must put together. So why does this story resonate so deeply with gamers, you ask? Maybe it's the universal appeal of fighting against a clearly evil wizard. Or perhaps it's the charm of exploring two parallel worlds, each with its own set of rules and wardrobe changes. Or maybe, just maybe, it's because at the heart of it all, it's a story about stepping out of your door, facing the unknown, and discovering that you're the hero you've been waiting for. And if that involves smashing a few pots along the way for spare change, well, that's just a day's work in Hyrule. Now let's shift gears to the gameplay of Zelda, where it isn't just an aspect. It's an art form, meticulously crafted to ensure you forget to attend to real-life responsibilities. This isn't just about hacking and slashing your way through hordes of enemies. No, that would be too pedestrian. Here, you're solving puzzles that could stump a seasoned Sudoku champion, navigating labyrinths that would give Minos a run for his money, and switching between worlds like you've got a season pass to the multiverse. At the core of this gameplay extravaganza are the mechanics that are so intuitive you think they're a part of basic life skills class. The game uses a top-down perspective, which isn't just for aesthetics. Oh no, it gives you a godlike overview of the action, perfect for strategizing your next move or merely admiring your pixelated prowess from above. Combat is straightforward yet satisfying, with a variety of weapons at your disposal that make medieval armories look like a child's toy box. But the real gem? The items. Each item you collect isn't just a tool, it's a key to unlocking new areas and secrets within the game. The hookshot, for instance, isn't just a fancy grappling hook. It's your VIP pass to previously unreachable areas, stretching out with a satisfying thwip that Spider-Man would envy. Bombs not only blow up walls, but also reveal hidden rooms. Because what's a legendary adventure without a few surprise demolition projects? Oh, and if you enjoyed that bombshell of information, why not detonate that like button and wiretap the subscribe for more explosive content like this? Trust me, it's less complicated than a Zelda puzzle. Inventory management is another layer of strategy. You're not just collecting items, you're curating a personal museum of mystical artifacts. The magic meter, a simple yet crucial bar of mystical energy, governs the use of your more powerful items, ensuring that you just can't spam your way to victory. This requires you to think, plan, and sometimes retreat, adding a delicious layer of tactical frosting to this action-adventure cake. Link's ability to travel between the light world and the dark world is as seamless as it is integral to the gameplay. This mechanic doesn't just change the scenery, it alters the stakes. Puzzles and landscapes transform, challenges escalate, and the narrative deepens. It's like getting two games for the price of one, where every action in one world echoes into the other, proving that even in video games, every decision has its consequences. This is why when A Link to the Past hit the shelves, it didn't just sell, it conquered. Released in 1991 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, this gem quickly became a cornerstone for what action-adventure games should be. But let's throw some numbers at you because who doesn't love a good stats party? This game shipped over 4.61 million copies globally. And let's be honest, those are numbers that will make any modern influencer salivate for likes. What's truly fascinating isn't just the pile of cartridges sold, but the impact it had on gaming culture and beyond. It's like A Link to the Past walked so every future action RPG could run, jump, and do a somersault. It set benchmarks in narrative depth, gameplay mechanics, and how an immersive soundtrack can make you feel like you're donning a green cap and boots yourself. And it wasn't just the gaming industry that felt the ripple. The game's release was akin to dropping a cultural bomb in pop culture's lap. Suddenly, references to the game popped up in television, music, and even fashion. Who knew a green tunic could be so trendy? A Link to the Past wasn't just a game, it was a cultural touchstone that even non-gamers recognized. It's like suddenly everyone knew about Hyrule, Triforces, and why it's totally acceptable to break pottery in search of rupees. But enough of that, my Hyrulean scholars. Let's sharpen those master swords of your minds, because it's trivia time. Let's dive into the lesser-known nooks and crannies of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. Buckle up, this isn't just your average trivia at the local tavern. First up, what famous mythical creature makes a surprise cameo in The Dark World? If you guessed the Loch Ness Monster, give yourself a rupee. In The Dark World's Lake of Three Omen, a creature eerily similar to our dear Nessie surfaces if you sprinkle some magic powder on the Circle of Stones. Who knew Link's World had its own celebrity monsters? Next up, ever wonder why some guards in Hyrule Castle laugh like witches when they attack? Well, this isn't just an audio glitch in your game cartridge. The guard's laughter is actually a sped up version of the same laugh used by the witch in the magic shop. It seems even in video games, laughter can be quite contagious, or just a clever reuse of a sound asset. And last, how do you find the Chris Julian room, and what was its original purpose? The Chris Julian room is indeed a fascinating Easter egg, serving as a debug room to prevent the game from crashing under certain conditions. It acts as a safety net when the game can't determine Link's location due to an error in the screen data. The most common method to trigger this room is by causing the game to fail to load a new area properly. One way players have accessed this room involves making rapid transitions between different game areas to overload the game's ability to track Link's correct location. For instance, a popular method includes dashing with the Pegasus boots from the sanctuary to the sewer's entrance without letting the screen scroll correctly or entering the transition tile that loads new areas. If done correctly, the game, unable to place Link in a proper room, defaults to the Chris Julian room. This room is filled with blue rupees and contains a telepathy tile with a message from Chris Julian saying, "Hey, my name is Chris Julian. This is just my top secret room. Keep it between us, okay?" And there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour through the pixelated history of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. From mythical creature cameos to secret rooms named after lucky fans, this game has more layers than a Hyrulean onion. We've dived deep into the dungeons of development, swung our swords through the thickets of gameplay, and unearthed treasures in the form of game trivia that's rarer than a golden bee. Remember, if you ever find yourself lost in the dark world, or just in your darkened living room at 2 a.m. wondering if you should play just 5 more minutes, just think, somewhere out there, there's probably a secret room or a quirky Easter egg you haven't found yet. If you enjoyed exploring the history of The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, click this video here to see more from the Retro Reload. And as always, thank you for watching.